There's so much power in femininity.
The masculine energy is a way of being. The feminine energy is a way of being.
Our minds as women go 24/7. They don't stop.
She's looking for something to grab onto. And if you're not there to grab onto, she's going to drown, literally drowned in her own thoughts.
During that time of being online, I was putting a lot out but wasn't putting enough in. And so my love cup for myself got low.
And women will always have a harder time with their self-confidence than what men will be for this exact reason.
Yeah. If I don't look like my mind has been tricked into thinking that a filtered face is a normal looking face because they all look like that.
Some would say you're a part of it as well.
I'd probably say I'm a part of it.
And many would be very surprised to hear that even you, being in your position with your millions of followers, even still feel that way.
Oh my gosh, totally.
I did not call you
You call
crazy.
me crazy all the time. But you know what? Men love our crazy.
Like we don't get on all the time, clearly. Like we have, just to put that out there, like we have conflict. And that's part of the beautiful act of us balancing and us having this dance together where the masculine and the feminine interact and create this beautiful harmony.
And you want to be in a relationship that brings out the best in you, in each other. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Powerful, huh? So welcome back to another episode of Life in Depth with
Stephanie.
And
Jamie.
Jamie.
Oh,
that
sorry,
is
you're
me.
supposed to introduce yourself.
That's okay, you can introduce me.
This is Jamie.
This is Jamie. And Stephanie,
Yes.
how are you going?
Good. Good. I'm on my third coffee and I'm ready to roll.
You're on your third
This
coffee.
is our third episode too.
And your third, that's exactly what I was about to say, the third episode with the third coffee.
Do you know what else?
What?
My favorite number is
3.
you were second guessing yourself.
Yeah, no,
right?
you put me on the spot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's 3.
3.
How eerie.
It is eerie. So episode number 3. Welcome. Welcome to anyone that is just joining us for the very first time. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
As we just mentioned, this is episode number 3. So if you haven't seen 1 and 2, make sure you go and do that. In episode 1, we covered a little bit about ourselves. Episode 2, we introduced the concept of the masculine and the feminine dynamic in relationships, which was an interesting one to explore and something that I think we were planning on elaborating a little bit further in today, because you made a promise at the end of that second episode, which is to try and explain a little bit more about specifically the dynamic of the feminine, how that relates in your life, and hopefully people listening can get a better understanding of how that can relate to them if they are a woman, and help men better understand women, because guys have a very difficult time understanding women. It very much seems.
Yes.
In fact, there was a movie on the other day. What was it called?
Are you talking about the one from like years ago?
Yeah, old school one.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson in it.
Where he starts
What
hearing
Women Want.
what women want.
Yeah,
where he
yeah,
starts
yeah.
hearing what women think, which is an interesting movie to watch if you haven't watched it. I'd never watched it properly, and I got right into it by the end of it.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because he got bombarded with thoughts, and as a guy, he wasn't quite equipped to deal with that, which maybe is an interesting place to start, because even in the car when we were driving here, my goodness, there was idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, boom, boom, boom. And it was very difficult to keep up. And I said, are you okay? And what did you say?
I can't remember. But all I do know is that our minds as women go 24/7. They don't stop. Ideas, thoughts, stresses, like emotional energy, everything. Now, I can't speak on all women. I know that I've made a few
Claims
in this podcast for women, and I've had a bit of feedback on the posts that have,
One in particular.
oh,
One claim in particular, which we should visit. I think you said it in the second podcast.
Here's what she said.
what I think a lot of men don't realize, and women will vouch for me, we don't actually say what we mean. We say what we feel. Mic drop.
That's a very difficult thing for a lot of guys to comprehend, because we hear what you say and then we think that's what you mean. Where basically you said that women tend to speak with emotion. They say what they feel.
Not what they mean.
to elaborate on that further, for those that misinterpreted that, because you were basically just trying to say that you speak or are led with emotion, whereas men are generally led with logic in the way that they communicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which to me doesn't sound that barbaric, but people took great offense.
I think because people take everything so literally.
Yeah.
And it was more so a generalization of we speak with more emotion. Like, as a scenario right now, imagine I was like really frustrated for the day and you were there. Some of the house jobs that are normally there that I probably normally do didn't get done. But for some reason in that day, I was like, you just don't help me. Like, what are you doing? And maybe in that moment, it may make you feel like, you know, she hates me. She just thinks I'm pathetic and lazy. But we're in that moment just spewing out emotion of how we feel, dependent on the situation that's happened in that day or there on the spot. So it's not – I generalize when I say it because I know for myself. That's why I say I always speak on behalf of myself, and some women, maybe other women might not be like that, but the women I know and, you know, from what I've heard and, you know, situations and stories, it's all kind of the same. We all say the same thing.
I'm going to go ahead and be politically incorrect and give you permission to say that generalizing on this particular podcast and the way that we're going to talk, I think is okay. And it's funny the people that refuse to maybe accept those generalizations, and of course there's going to be exceptions to every rule, but when you've been in a long-term relationships, you find that there are universal truths about both men and women.
Yeah, and it's very similar.
And the people that often will deny those facts are usually people that are single or have a very difficult time in relationships. So we don't know everything. I'll put that out there from the start. But we have definitely learned a lot about this being together nearly 9 years now and have experienced a lot of pain with this subject, with the whole concept of trying to understand how men and women work together and how they can work together in harmony. Because after that long, nearly a decade, it gets more challenging. That's for sure. And I think there are definitely universal truths, which if you don't move.
Don't move.
Very difficult, especially when I'm getting my hands going.
I'm like so still right now because I don't want to make any
like squeaky chairs,
squeaky noise or fart noises.
Ooh.
Well, you know, you hear stuff and people are like, was that you? It's like, no, it was the chair. And they're like, yeah, sure. It's like,
sure.
Seriously. No, but I hear what you're saying.
What am I saying?
I don't know. I got put off by the chair, but.
Sounds about right. See, this is the feminine in action.
Going back
multi-directional.
Yeah, going back
yes.
with the crazy right
yes.
now. Oh, that's what we get labelled, by the way, crazy.
Touchy subject.
It's not, because I know we are, but...
Whoa. Now who's making generalizations?
When I say crazy, not put into hospital crazy. I mean, like, we're so creative and full of energy and excited about things that it can come off as full on and crazy. And I also think that the way we project how we feel and maybe act can come off crazy as well.
Can I just say, from a guy's point of view, like many emotionally immature men that are in the firing line of the chaotic mind of the feminine. And when I say chaotic mind of the feminine, I just mean that we'll touch on this a little bit in a moment, but the feminine energy is very chaotic, as you said. It's free flowing. It's it's multi-directional, right? Whereas the masculine mind, the masculine way of doing things is directional. It's the opposite of that. So men have a very difficult time understanding the multi-directional nature of the feminine. But for the immature men that often say, well, she's crazy, I'm going to go ahead and say it's also very exciting and very enticing. And I don't know what I would do without that level of excitement and spontaneity in my life that you bring.
I'm going to remind you of this when you call me crazy again, like last week.
I did not call you crazy.
You call me crazy all the time. You're like, you're so crazy, hun.
Yeah, well, that must have been when you were acting very...
But you know what? Men love our crazy.
Well, that's what I'm trying to allude to.
Otherwise, life would be boring.
Correct.
Like, I don't like speaking for men, but I'm going to go by what I've learned and also what you have experienced and told me. So I'm going to be very careful how I say this.
Don't be. Just say it.
Men love it when you make them feel a little bit like, oh no, I feel really scared why do I feel scared to talk?
Because this is a very touchy subject for people.
This is just really hard for me. Like I will come back to that thought, so make sure you hold it for me because I'll forget. But I feel like being a personality on social media with no voice is very intimidating for me to speak because I care too much about what people think about me. And that's actually something I'm working on for my own personal development. But I feel I wear my heart on my sleeve. I think that's the saying. So I get infiltrated and punctured by people's comments way too much. And that's something that never used to affect me at all.
But to be fair, you've never dealt with it to the degree in which you're dealing with it now.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it never used to harm me as much back then when I was kind of fresh into it all. I was like, I don't care what you think, I'm having fun. But the longer you do it, you find yourself more vulnerable to people's opinions. Because you want to keep people happy. Like, I want to keep people happy and comfortable. I don't want people to feel bad when they watch my things online, like the training or the way that I look. It's not my intention to ever make people feel in a negative way. So sometimes I'll manipulate myself to keep everybody happy. Maybe it's the way that I dress, the way that I look. And that has only caused me more self-harm in the way I feel about myself. Because now I'm like, who am I? I don't even like myself anymore. That's a whole nother podcast, by the way. And I think a lot of people who are present on social media can relate from what I've read with other influencers, I guess, who put themselves out there or doing training or whatever it is that you do on social media. But being an online presence can provide many great opportunities, but at the same time can create a lot of disharmony within yourself. And I feel like for me, during that time of being online, I was putting a lot out but wasn't putting enough in. And so my love cup for myself got low. And that's something I'm working on. And maybe that's why I fear sitting here today and speaking, because I'm crippled by fear of what people will think about me. Like, what if they don't like me? What if they think I'm just dumb or have nothing good to say? And what if I say something politically incorrect because I'm so free-flowing in the way that I speak that maybe I don't sit and think and articulate properly before it comes out of my mouth, and then I get myself in trouble. So yeah, it's a lot for me to sit here and put a voice to my, I guess, name or body, because I train. It's a lot, and I was even crippled with fear coming on here today. Some days are worse than others, but today for some reason I was like, I don't have it in me.
You said that maybe this is a whole nother episode. I would disagree with that, because we are seeing the feminine energy
feeling
in real life right now.
Feeling
it's all coming out.
Fear.
Can I interrupt for 1 second though?
Yeah.
Your little zippy has a stiffy. Can you get him down? There he goes.
My zips are always coming undone, and people think it's on purpose. It's really not. It's just well endowed.
What you're saying is, I think a lot of people, both men and women, but women especially, will relate to, given the nature now of social media. We were talking about it in the car, and the pressures that women now face with filters, with societal expectations.
I was saying this in the car in between all the other stuff I was saying. I was like, it's so unfair. And I was really thinking of my daughter as well when I was speaking to you about this, just for the fact that you go online and you're presented with fakery everywhere. So like girls that are on there that don't even look like that. They're heavily filtered, bodies are manipulated, perfect lighting, whatever, and they don't exist. And so I'm going to speak so honestly right now. And I look at that all day because my job being online, it's just in front of me all day.
Some would say you're a part of it as well.
I'd probably say I'm a part of it.
And many would be very surprised to hear that even you, being in your position with your millions of followers, I know you hate that term, even still feel that way.
Oh my gosh, totally. If I don't look like my mind has been tricked into thinking that a filtered face is a normal looking face because they all look like that. So that must be what I'm supposed to look like. And I know that sounds so stupid. And I know that women listening today could actually really resonate with that because it's all you see. So then you start to think that there's a problem with me. Like there's something wrong with me. And now I need to go get filler, this, that, Botox, whatever, to fix something in myself because what I'm seeing doesn't look right when I see myself. So I was just thinking about that today because I feel the pressure from that too, especially aging as well. Like we're all aging, you know, I'm looking very different to what I was when I was 25, when I was 18. Like we're all going to age.
It's very funny how the societal expectations around women and aging as well.
They do not accept it.
Yeah, it's very heavily criticized.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I'll read stuff about myself saying like, you look 50 or like this chick, how old is she? Like she's a bit old to be doing this. Like it hurt. Like it's hard for me to accept myself aging because I'm told it's wrong. And I read things about celebrities as well when I'm just like in the Instagram feed and I get, well, these celebrities are in my feed for some reason, maybe because I don't know, maybe I click on it too much, but it will be things like Angelina Jolie or like Britney Spears or something about the way that they look. What happened to her? Why does she look like this? Oh my gosh, she's aged so much. And it's like people don't accept it. And they make people feel bad for it, even though it's a normal part of life. And we should be able to age gracefully and accept and love ourselves in the process of that. But we're told by society, you can't. Don't love yourself for being old. You look ragged, you know. And then if you get work done, it's like she's had work done. What has she done to herself? It's like, you can't win. Like you literally can't win. And it's the most frustrating thing. And that's why it goes back to working on yourself, because if you don't do that inner work, you can really get lost in it and become really depressed on yourself, miserable to be around. And I can speak on this because I've struggled with it. And people would think, oh, well, why would that happen to you? You have no idea.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier. If anything, it would get harder the more you are actually in the spotlight.
And then
the more
think
criticism you have to face.
Exactly. I think, that definitely makes it worse. But then it goes back to my daughter as well. It's like, if I'm feeling like this, how does she feel? How does she feel growing up having to see that and think that that's the norm, you know?
Can I just say something? Because I can already hear the comments of what people are going to say about that. They're going to say to everything that you're just saying, right? There's always people whenever you open up like this that say, just don't read it. Just don't worry about what people say. Like it's so fucking easy.
It's not easy.
And,
it used to be, but now it's not.
Well, yeah, again, when you've got hundreds of people every day commenting, messaging, it definitely gets harder. But the people that say, just don't look, it's just, don't worry about it, there's something wrong with you. No, as we're about to talk about, this is the feminine in action. So the people that say, just don't worry about it, what is that? Is that a multi-directional thought or a directional thought? Just don't worry. Directional.
Yeah.
Right? That's a very masculine approach to a feminized problem.
Yeah.
A very feminine woman is always going to think multidirectional. She's always going to be looking in every which way and absorbing emotions and things from every different angle. So someone's opinion over here will mean something, regardless of how confident she is, because the feminine woman is built to nurture and she wants to make sure that everyone is okay. So if someone's over here and they have a problem with her, she's going to want to try and do something about that to make that person comfortable. Now, that is not an insecurity. That's the beautiful part of the feminine, that she wants everyone around her to be okay. But it can be a real detriment when she's absorbing it and thinking or taking it on as there's something wrong with me.
It's so hard not to absorb.
Very.
Like...
And this is also why, like, generally speaking, like, women will always have a harder time with their self-confidence than what men will be for this exact reason.
Yeah.
And I empathize with you and with women. I can only imagine how difficult it would be.
It's from the way that we look, our bodies, what we eat, how we project ourselves. It's like everything. And I know that men have their struggles too. It's not easy for them. But I just feel like sometimes we've got to work, we've got to provide, we've got to give birth, we've got to look good, we've got to lose the weight, we've got to not age. And it's just like, I just want to rest. But I know like it just comes back to one thing at the end of the day, and you cannot control the noise around you and maybe what people say, but you can control you, and you can control how much you feed your soul and your spirit, and that will all come back to femininity, I guess, which is what we're talking about today. And it's not just femininity. I think men need to do that too. I know men need to feed themselves as well.
Yeah, that's an important
Now, I'm not
point.
talking about a big steak. I'm talking about emotionally.
So something that you've continually referred to is doing inner work. So for those that didn't watch the second episode of this podcast, stop and go and watch it. But to elaborate a little bit on what we spoke about how feminine and masculine, the feminine and the masculine is nothing other than energy, right? So people often mystify these concepts as, well, man and woman. No, it's not man and woman. The masculine energy is a way of being. The feminine energy is a way of being. I, as a male, have both masculine and feminine qualities. Steph, as a female, has both masculine and feminine qualities. But the way in which we are built, we inherently lean one way. And from our personal experience, the more that we lean to the opposite way of our biology, the more out of touch we feel. I know that's been very true for myself. When I've leaned too much into my feminine, I have felt so lost and so down on myself and confused about who I am and what I stand for. And I know the same is true for you. The more that you've swung into your masculine by whatever circumstances have caused that, how has it made you feel?
Yeah, bitter at you. I know that sounds really abrupt, but I have a belief from what I know about men and women, and also how I was raised, that the man is supposed to provide, make the woman feel safe. We touched on this in our last podcast. There's certain roles that I believe personally a man should play. And so I guess when I get into my masculine state and then I question myself and I'm like, why am I being like this? Because when I'm alone and I'm processing, I really get in my own head and I have a conversation with myself, and it sounds so stupid, but I'm like, why am I feeling so scared in this area? And so then I'll come back to you and I'll be like, I feel like, you need to be working on this. And this is where the nagging comes in. It seems like nagging, or maybe you may take it on as criticism, because we also spoke about this in the last podcast, but I feel like I'm relaying back to that a lot. But you might come across me saying those things as attacking. Is that right? Like if I come at you and I'm like, I've got this problem because I've had a self-conversation with myself and I've discovered I've got a problem that feeds into our relationship that I believe needs to change, and then I come to you with that problem, I know that your walls go straight up depending on how you communicate it.
Which again, yes, you said something interesting again. You're saying lots of interesting things.
I'm not even into my coffee yet.
I think before we get too far into it, if we keep touching on the last episode, as a quick recap, right? The masculine energy is anything doing. Think action, think logic, think directional. The feminine energy is, as I said before, multi-directional. It's emotive, it's feeling. Now, me lifting weights, for example, is a masculine act. Steph lifts weights. She does
also a masculine act.
She does a masculine act. It doesn't mean that she is a guy. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. It just means that she's going to ignite that energy in her.
Yeah.
Right? Now, let's say Steph dances, which I know you like to do.
I did that today in between my sets.
Which is so interesting. Even in the middle of the masculine act, you want it to be free-flowing and ignite the feminine and bring you back to...
There was a good beat on. I was just like rolling, jamming. I'm like, this is it.
So
in my motion.
So the feminine feels, the masculine acts. These are these two energies, very common in Chinese medicine, like the yin and the yangs. And I think a big part of it is balancing these things. Right? But inherently, we're going to naturally lean one way. And typically speaking, for most people, they lean in the way that their biology has been created. So I'm inherently going to want to be more masculine. And when I fit into that energy more, I feel more like myself. Vice versa is true for Steph. When she is able to sit in her feminine, she feels more like herself or a better version of herself.
Yeah.
Now, you said before it gets a little bit frustrating if you get stressed and there's a problem, and sometimes that makes you bitter at me if I haven't already solved that problem.
Yeah.
Right?
And let's just say not just one problem, but a few.
Most
just
problems.
like floating around that just never get fixed. And then I'm just like,
which is very difficult as a very feminine woman, because as we said, the multi-directional thoughts, there's many, many problems to be fixed, which makes it hard to keep up.
Well, keep up. It's your job.
And I think that's an interesting thing for men to consider, because men often think like, well, once I tick this box or once I solve this problem, then everything will be okay. And not often how it works, right? Not often how it works. There's always something else that's going on. And there's always an inherent desire for the woman to want the man to be there, to be able to not only protect and provide, but to be able to solve any problems that might arise so that she can sit more in her feminine, so that she can get back to feeling free-flowing and okay, because that's how she feels like herself. And it's interesting, like when a man is actually in his masculine, he feels good about fixing the problems. Very good about fixing the problems. He likes to be a problem solver, right? But I'll give some context for women out there in relationships, and you can vouch for me on this. The way in which you communicate with men matters.
It totally matters. I've been pulled up by you about this.
Okay, so what have I taught you, Stephanie? Tell me.
Well, sometimes I'll come to you and I'm been in the glory of my headspace where it's just going crazy like normal, and I just want to get it out. So I'm just saying it as it's coming down.
You're venting.
And processing.
Which, by the way, men do not know how to understand or how to interpret venting.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
They think whatever you are venting and all of those things that you are saying is true and is fact, and they cannot keep up.
Can I tell you something,
which
though?
goes back to what you said in that first.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, go.
When women vent, we just want to get it out. We don't want you to fix it at all. We just want you to listen. In fact, if you try and fix our vent and say, well, why don't you do this? And I know, why don't we do that? It's like, we don't know. We don't want to fix it. We just want to let you know about it so it's off our mind.
I'll speak for men here because they don't understand that. They don't get it.
But have they noticed that when they try and fix it, it gets worse?
No, but I'll put forward a theory to you, because I would call BS on that. You do want something fixed.
Not in that moment.
No, let me finish. You do want something fixed, but it's rarely what you're venting. You want like men, they need to understand that something needs to happen, because if you tell them, just don't do anything, just sit there, they sit there like, and they don't understand it.
No, like, interact with it. Okay,
Yeah, that's fine, but
so we know you're listening.
But something needs to be done, because that's what men understand. Men understand that a course of action, they need to be put on a mission, and to just sit there, they don't get it. So I will try and explain it, and you tell me if I'm wrong. When you're venting, you'll probably talk about 5, 6, however many things. It'll be going all over the place.
Yeah.
It's my job as the man, action. The problem that I need to solve in that scenario is to hear you, sit there, listen, do my best to understand what it is that you're feeling, and most importantly, absorb what you are trying to get off. That's my job in that scenario, to catch your emotion, to absorb it, and hopefully to just throw it away. That's the job. But
truthfully, sometimes there's not always a real problem in there.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Absorb it and throw it away.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know how to throw it away.
Correct.
Sometimes you absorb and then come back later and then come at me with it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then you're like, what you said before. I'm like, what did I say?
We spoke about that last time in the previous episode. It becomes very difficult, especially if a man is feeling insecure, to hear venting words, especially if those venting words is frustration towards him. Very difficult for him if he's in an emotional state and not in his primary masculine energy, he will inherently take that on board and not be able to throw it away. He'll absorb it and he'll feel horrible about himself. And maybe in a situation where there might be conflict in the relationship, he will think, oh, geez, like I'm doing all of these things wrong. She's just told me. When so often, it's not actually what you were saying before. It's not actually what you mean. You're feeling all of these things in action and trying to get it off. And yes, it can be very problematic if the guy actually does absorb all of those things. I think for guys in long-term relationships, one thing that has helped me is that, when you're in that state and, venting off things and maybe you're frustrated about something, it's always good to remind yourself that, she's still with you. She's here. She's in this. Even though she might be frustrated, she's invested in you. She hasn't left. She's here. Therefore, she must love you.
Is this going back to not seeking evidence but seeking facts?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yep. So the evidence, if I was in an emotional state, might be, oh, she said this, maybe that's true. Maybe I've done this wrong. Maybe I've, screwed up too much. Where the facts is, she's here. She's not going. She says that she loves you when she's in her, when she's in her feminine and she's not stressed. And that should always be something to lean on. And when it comes to that emotional maturity that we spoke about in the last episode, as the guy, it is so critical and important to be able to sit there and just to do your best to be the rock. Like, there's no better analogy. Like, you got to think about the feminine and the way that they act. We talked about the multi-directional thoughts. Like, she's looking for something to grab onto. And if you're not there to grab onto, she's going to drown, literally drown in her own thoughts. And this is why it's so important where we need each other. Because again, we spoke about it before, my life would be incredibly boring without you around.
How so, James? Tell them all that I'm not just a royal pain in your ass.
Well, what would I do? I'd just sit around, work all day. I wouldn't have much spontaneity in my life. I'd be seeking thrill and excitement elsewhere where I shouldn't be, whereas I'd rather share that and experience that with you.
So you like it when I bounce into the office and I'm just like, hello.
Of course. Of course.
Sometimes I bounce in, I'm like, I want to play. Now's not the time, Stephanie.
Which again, interesting concept, because there are some times where I'm so fixated on work, typing away at that computer, you might come in and for a second I might think, come on.
Sometimes I feel that.
Yeah.
So it's mean. I'm like, he doesn't like me.
But this is the thing. So there are both positives and negatives to the masculine and the feminine. There is not one that is superior to the other. We both, as men and women, need these qualities. So if I was too far into my masculine, too far into solving problems, acting, and only ever doing, rather than feeling, I'm going to be off center. I'm going to be out of balance. And when you would, in that scenario, come in and want to play, very feminine act. If I was so far in my masculine,
I need bunny ears right.
If I was so far in my masculine that I rejected you, then what type of relationship can I expect to have? And also, what type of life can I expect to have? I want to have fun. I don't just want to work. I'm not a slave, although I do enjoy working. But there has to be a time where we can switch, and that's part of the the beautiful act of us balancing and us having this dance together, where the masculine and the feminine interact and create this beautiful harmony.
It's funny when I'm working and you come in, I'm like, you just want to cuddle, and I'm like nearly done because I have the anxiety of just trying to get it done. I can't just stop like once I'm in my role.
And see, so if we elaborate on that, so you enjoy it, and in fact you find it attractive when I can be directional and I can be leading and I can be out conquering doing something as the masculine. When you do the same thing, which is what you were just talking about, when you're trying to get something done and you're so fixated in that task that you don't have time to, connect and, let's say, play with me, that doesn't draw me closer to you and make me think, whoa, gee, she's got it going on. I never once look at you fiercely vacuuming in frustration and think to myself, gee, she's hot.
What if I was in a bikini?
See, this is the funny thing about, we'll go back to it because there's so much confusion on it. People might hear that task, vacuuming the house, cleaning, And they might associate that with femininity. That's not. This is not stereotypical roles of, men and women. Because even vacuuming or cleaning is inherently a masculine act. You're acting, you're doing. But what if you were vacuuming and while you were vacuuming, you were singing and you were moving and free-flowing and you're enjoying yourself while you're doing it? All of a sudden, you just got a whole lot hotter in my eyes.
I don't enjoy vacuuming at all.
But when you're in that state,
at all,
when you're
cat hair everywhere.
as a general tip for women and how men relate and are attracted to women, and you can speak on this for women towards men, but I know that there is always, like, if I was to look at you, you could be looking exactly the same, has nothing to do with your outfit, has nothing to do with the way that you did your hair, the way that you did your makeup. I take Stephanie, one who's vacuuming ferociously and trying to get it done and huffing and puffing and frustrated, versus Stephanie that looks exactly the same, that's vacuuming and singing and moving and having a good old time. I am drawn. Like, I am drawn to that Stephanie. Like, every day of the week. Like, there is such power. There is such power for women in the feminine if they can embrace that and embody that. And I understand it's not easy. Like, I genuinely understand we live in a world that makes that very difficult. Not easy for guys too. Many guys get stuck. You okay?
Yeah, I'm listening. Okay. I was actually thinking of a thought though.
What thought?
And I was just like smirking to myself thinking about it when you said there's so much power in femininity.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's true, because I can get out of a fight really easy with you and I.
Of course.
I just have to like talk in a certain way or flick my hair in a certain way or do something and you're like, oh, it's hard to be mad at you.
And you know what's funny? The same is true for me. See, if we're in a fight, we have conflict and you come to me and you're like, well, this has happened and you've done this. If I was in my feelings and I was like, well, don't say that, you did this, and threw something back to you because of emotional immaturity, or if I was out of state with my masculine quality.
I don't like it when you do that. Like, pull up something else and be like, well.
The fight is going to continue. Yeah. Whereas if I was to embrace my inherent nature as the guy, as the masculine, and heard whatever it is that you were going, was willing to sit there, listen and absorb and throw away, and then act accordingly, follow up with the masculine and take action based on the problem that you inherently have, then how long is that fight going to last? Mm. Like, we both have this power, and I think when we get out of balance, and it can happen to both men and women.
Can I share with everyone something that you do?
Uh-oh.
Like your secret?
Share it.
Swig the coffee. Get it down.
What is it?
How much have you got left? Are you done?
Not much. It's going cold.
You love it cold.
I do.
I like mine really hot, and he likes his like lukewarm, like dirty water.
Because I'm warm-blooded.
Just so opposite. Anyway. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I had it.
Come on.
Oh, no. There it is. So no one else wrote in the comments last time about getting me some type of happy pill up here.
Because we haven't posted that one yet.
Oh, okay.
We've only posted episode 1 so far. Maybe those comments will come. We'll find out.
Oh, it hurts to smile. Okay. So there's something that you do to me.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's annoying.
Uh-oh.
But you do it to me.
Uh-oh.
When we're in a fight.
Ah.
Yeah.
I think I know.
Yeah.
What is it?
What are you thinking?
I think I ask you to do something.
Yeah. It's not what you think, because that doesn't benefit me in a fight. No, you make me look, like you'll grab my head, because I won't look at you. When we're in a fight, I look the other way. I don't want to look at you. But you grab my head and you're like, okay, I know we're in a fight and I know that you don't love me right now. But you're like, but look into my eyes. And then you make me look into your eyes. And why do you do that, Jamie?
Because it ignites the feminine. It ignites the feminine energy and it makes you feel. It reconnects our souls. Because we, and maybe this won't work for all couples, but it's an interesting test. If you do have a strong, soulful, spiritual connection, when you look in each other's eyes, it's very hard to stay mad, or at least I find it very hard to stay mad at you when I stare into your eyes.
Are you going to cry?
I could. I could. Because I really love you. And when I look into your eyes, I feel that. Like I genuinely feel that, which might be challenging. Like this is my feminine coming out. Like I am very comfortable in saying that I have strong feminine qualities as a guy. So I'm in no way shaming, men or women for being more masculine, more feminine. Again, it's about balance, but I can tap into that and feel a deep sense of connection with you. And I'm lucky that we have the relationship that we do, that when you look at me, just so happens that you tend to feel the same, or at least you have so far, because every time that you stare back at me,
I end up laughing or something.
You end up laughing, it breaks the state, and we reconnect. And it is a little trick if you do have that sort of connection with your partner.
So, he'd be grabbing my jaw. I'm like, not today, not today. I want to hold on to it.
which is interesting because even like I remember a scenario happened the other day where I was getting carried on. Like we don't get on all the time. Clearly, like we have. Just to put that out there, like we have conflict.
By the way, which you guys probably don't know. Sorry to interrupt, but we spend 24/7 together.
Yes, we do.
Like you've got a couple.
Work together, live together.
Maybe the couple goes off and does separate work jobs. I don't know. And then they come back and maybe have a wine together at night time and watch some TV and talk about their day. That's not us. We wake up together, sleep together, raise kids together, work together, go to appointments together, podcast together, like together 24/7. I would say we probably have an hour and a half, if that, away from each other per day.
Not long.
And so we have had to learn how to deal with each other. We're not like trying to dish out all of this information and say that we've got all the answers. We're just going by
our own experience.
Our own experiences and things that we've learned, funny things, maybe things that are relevant or not relevant at all.
But yes, we have been forced to face these things head on, whether we like it or not. And these have been our findings, which is what we're trying to share. And hopefully you can benefit from our learnings.
Or keep dishing out the hate when you don't like what we say, which has been happening on socials a little bit.
What were you saying? You were mid-conversation.
I think I interrupted you and I think you're lost now.
Oh, we were talking about looking into each other's eyes during a point of conflict.
Oh, you were saying that it might not work for some people and it might work for others. What if it doesn't work and you try that trick?
If it doesn't work, then you should be very wary that your relationship is in trouble.
Really? That's a bold statement.
I would say so. I know that this is something that's used with intimacy coaches and psychologists is to...
I think I saw it on Married at First Sight once.
Yeah. So it's like stare at your partner lovingly, stare into their soul for 3 to 5 minutes, put a clock on and do it. Now, if you do that and feelings don't arise, there's a big problem, like a big problem. And you either need to act fast in repairing that, or maybe start asking yourself, is this the right situation or the right person for me?
But could resentfulness,
of course,
block that energy through the eyes?
I think if someone was so far out of tune with themselves and they were so closed off with their feelings that they were just fixated on, I want better, I want to go and act differently with someone else, or this person is not meeting any of my needs and they're not actually in their feelings, then that person has a lot of work to do, not only in the relationship, but in themselves. And I would almost argue if you're at that point, then maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship. Maybe there's a lot of self-work that needs to happen before you should put someone else through what it is that you're going through. And unless you can come clean to that person and open up and say, hey, I'm really disconnected here and I'm really struggling, and have that level of self-awareness, then you are going to hurt that person. Like I feel for that person.
Yeah.
I feel for both parties. Like that's a horrible situation to be in for the person that doesn't feel, because they've got, like, they're very disconnected.
Yeah.
And a horrible situation for the person on the receiving end of that.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like individuals in a relationship, before they even started and before they actually got with the person in question, I feel like there are just people that are disconnected and have never been able to connect like that. And they may be with a person now and they're having a relationship in the way that they only know. And they might not have that deep connection because they've never actually experienced it before, so they don't know what they're looking for.
that's a very good subject for another episode, I think, because people these days, it seems like even how many people are just meeting on Tinder, right? Like this virtual experience of like swipe on someone that you find physically attractive, but have no
physical.
Yeah, based on the physical, based on lust, based on literally a physiological desire of that person, rather than an emotional or spiritual connection with that person. And if you lean too much into the physical, you're only ever going to be focused on that. And when push comes to shove, after you've been together for many years, all of a sudden the physical becomes somewhat redundant. Like you're then left with that person and you're forced to deal with their emotionality, their psychology, and their spirituality.
Yeah.
And in that situation, if you haven't picked that right person and you've only picked that person based on their looks, then you are going to be in a world of trouble. That's not how we met, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
Like we had a very deep connection before we even considered any level of romantic involvement together. And yeah, we could do a whole episode on that. The importance of getting to know someone before you share yourself with that person physically, which happens far too quickly.
I know.
In today's day and age, but that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, that is.
But,
so this podcast was supposed to be about
we can
feminine vibes and how to get them.
Tell me from your perspective as a woman, how is it that you are able to tap into the positive elements of the feminine?
Well, I'm going to be fully honest here. I wouldn't say that I'm an ultra feminine pro. I know that I'm naturally within me feminine, but the problem is my circumstances of what I've been through in my life, and also maybe what I do for work, and also having a business and a whole heap of other things have, I guess, pushed my ultra feminine, which I was born with, down a little bit. And so I'm trying to balance that back up because life does happen.
Sure does.
And, you know, some women don't get the freedom of allowing their feminine to, flow. So I've been victim to that many times. And being with you has also revealed that to me, that has been something that I have needed to work on. And I have. But like I said, I just want to disclaimer say that I'm not in no way a feminine pro where my energy, that's all I am. I have some traits. I have some masculine traits, which you don't mind. I'm not saying, we should make it clear that it's not any masculine trait in a female is unattractive.
I think we have made that clear, but go ahead.
No, but I think...
Go ahead and reclaim it for the sensitive people out there.
It's not about sensitive. There are some masculine things that I do that you kind of appreciate.
Of course.
But you would rather me have more feminine qualities. Of course.
There's the balance. That's
what I'm trying to say.
I don't want you just to be this free-flowing, chaotic, like here, there,
I would
and
do
everywhere,
your
airy, fairy.
You'd be like...
No, that's not at all what we're saying. And please, women, if you're listening, this is not like a just only ever feel and don't ever do. Like go make some stuff. Go go do something great in the world. Whatever that is to you, whatever, go act accordingly to however makes you feel best. But we're just talking relationally, like the dynamics between men and women in a heterosexual relationship, like we're always going to lean, generally speaking, one way. And then like the attraction between each other definitely ignites. Like when I'm more in my masculine and you're more in your feminine, like we ignite.
Yeah.
Whereas when those energies are flipped, that's when we get into trouble.
Yeah, and we know when they're flipped. But yeah, you're right. Like for me, in the way that I have learned to feminine up, I really apologize. I just did it again. I was going to say I really apologize for the way that I pronounce things. I slur my words. So sometimes I'll miss words or be like feminine. Like, please be patient with me. You're
doing great.
Thank you. There's no excuse for it, really. I just need to learn how to speak properly. But I look at the way that my sister and my dad speak, and I don't know if I told you this, guys, last time. Sorry.
Where are we going now, Stephanie?
Just like, I have to get it out. I watched my dad on YouTube once at his work, And I couldn't understand a word he was saying.
You're going to give him a shout out?
Mario, my dad, Italian man. I'm Italian, half. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I get it from. So I'm not going to be so hard on myself. It's genetic. Anyway, yes. So feminine.
Yes.
Let's go back to that.
Let's go back.
So for me, I'm trying to think. Having fun, being light, feeling. For like when I think about what femininity is, it's feeling. So within, having that intuition, that discernment, feeling, spiritual. It's, when you speak, don't speak attacking. Sometimes with you, for example, like we were talking about before, you said that there was a way that women, when they're maybe giving men feedback, the way that she says it matters. So an example of this is like, I could be like, I don't like it when you do this.
Versus, when this is being said, it makes me feel this way. So I'm taking you out of the equation, which then removes blame. And then I'm also using the words feel. So then it makes you more sensitive to me feeling, and you'll want to fix it or listen because you don't feel like you're being attacked. So I have had to learn in the way that I deliver things if I want to get what I want. And it sounds manipulative, but it is in a way because I'm having to manipulate the way that I speak. It's not manipulative. It's playing your part in the dance of the masculine and the feminine.
It's because choosing words.
Well, we both have to do that. I have to choose my words with you. Like, for anyone that is like, well, you should just be able to be who you are and just say what you feel. Like, bullshit. Like, we're in this together. We have to learn how to communicate with each other.
And
so
I also
it's not
believe
manipulation. It's better understanding me as your partner and learning how to dance together.
Yeah, because being together and being so close and intimate, I have the ability to tear you down and your tower down and put you in the ground very easily, as do you with me. So sometimes our powers, like feminine, masculine, with each other, if not used properly, can actually be a detriment to our relationship and how we function and also how we feel about ourselves, which then it's like a double-edged sword, or is it knife? Either way, something sharp, double-edged, because if you're bad, you act bad, which makes me feel bad. If I'm bad towards you, I feel bad, and then you feel bad, and then we're both acting bad. Like, it's just like this, like, back and forth, like bringing out the worst in each other, which I know there's like a lot of relationships that do bring out the worst. And you want to be in a relationship that brings out the best in you, in each other, helps you grow, helps you succeed. A good woman will help raise a man up, and a good man will help, take care of the woman and make sure that she's safe. Like, and maybe lift her up too. Maybe she has a career as well and he's not tearing her career down, like lifting her up too. We're supporting each other. And I do have to say that because I also...
We've lived that.
Work, yeah. Yes. I've been a stay-at-home mum where I just was a mum, nothing else, taking care of my kids. When I say just a mum, I mean like I was, that was my job and it is a job. And then I've also raised kids and worked. So I've been on both ends, so I get it. And I also understand the shift that you have to make going between the two. It is hard to find that balance of, running the show, but then also nurturing. So yeah, I think keywords, if I was to break it down, femininity, really simply, because otherwise I'll just throw it everywhere right now because I'm all over the place. I'd say feel, nurture, and I think that's it, really. It's just feeling and nurturing. Am I missing something?
Those are the two
important.
Those are the two key parts. But I think, and we keep referring back to it, the previous episode, there is a positive and a negative to the feminine, just as there is a positive and the negative to the masculine. So you don't, like, let's just say, take that, the first thing that you said, feeling, right? Too much in your feelings. Let's say those feelings are negative towards others and yourself.
Yeah.
Then this is not going to be like a good environment for yourself and others. Okay, so if you're stuck so much in your feelings and those feelings aren't positive, then this is not good. And then often actually what I find is that that's generally the point in which you need to flip the switch and balance out the masculine qualities and maybe take action, go and do something that makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're balanced and you're in your feelings and those feelings are positive towards yourself and others, then that's like from a guy's perspective and how they view women, like there's nothing more attractive and enticing than that.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, key superpower. And then the other thing you said was nurturing. Like, again, that can go wrong if it's people pleasing and only nurturing others and not yourself.
Yeah.
So that would be the negative element of the feminine if she's always trying to look after others and not look after herself.
Which was the third one, which is self-care. I knew there was another one. Self-care, which can also go the opposite way of doing too much and then you like feel worse. But, you know, eating right, looking after your skin, washing your hair. You don't always have to wear makeup, but like, you know, put some lipstick on one day, see how it makes you feel. Like, I know that's a fine line because some women don't want to wear it and they don't need it. And then others just feel like they need it. Whatever makes you feel good, I feel like it's important to feel good within yourself so that you project happiness to others.
I can already
and
hear
confidence.
I can already hear people getting triggered by that.
About that's, the makeup?
Yeah, the makeup's such a touchy one.
Get up and wear my makeup.
Let me just clarify what Stephanie said. She didn't say, women, go and wear makeup. She said, if it makes you feel, keyword, feel good about yourself, then go and do it. If it doesn't and you feel better not wearing it, then don't wear it.
Sometimes I wear too much and feel like a tart. I'm like, you've done too much today, Stephanie. What have you done? I look at myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, stop it. And then it's like, I can't be bothered getting this off. Then there are other times where I don't wear makeup. I'm like, oh, I feel so today. Like, I don't always.
No, but you know that when like, again, the stereotype is that, well, a feminine must wear a dress and she must do this. Like, no, that's not at all what we're talking about. That's not
Pink
what we're
nails.
saying. No, that's not right. But if those things, doing those things makes you feel better and lighter about yourself, you use the word soft, which is a very interesting description. Right?
I didn't use the word soft.
I think you did earlier.
No.
Rewind.
Searching. It was never mentioned, LOL.
I think you did. Well,
No.
anyway,
You can use it.
I'm going to use that word soft because,
It's a bit of like a cringe word, like soft. You know?
well, maybe.
So I wouldn't have used that.
So maybe to you. So for you, that might be a cringe word. For a guy, that's not a cringe word at all. Like, what guy wants a hard woman?
I was talking about the actual word itself.
Soft.
You know, like moist is like a bit of that's a bit of a word. Like soft, I felt like is in that category of like that's a word. Like
Come on, Stephanie.
Don't you have a cringe word? What's your cringe
Yeah,
word?
moist is a little bit different. Soft is all right. Give me a nice soft pat or a nice soft something. I don't know. That's all right.
Taxi.
There we are getting on.
What time is it? How long have we been going for?
We've been going a while, but we're getting good stuff here. Let me finish on this point because I think this is important and something that helped me understand this whole thing a lot better. If you didn't use the word soft, I'm going to use the word soft.
Okay.
Because like I said, from a guy's perspective, if you were to describe a woman, you've got a soft woman and a hard woman. Which would he prefer?
The moist one.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
The soft one. Now, why is that? You might be thinking, well, that's sexist. Why would you think that? Like, welcome to the mind of men. Like it or not, like that's, as a masculine male, he's always going to desire a softer woman because it helps him feel. A harder woman doesn't help him feel.
Yeah.
It helps him be more of a bloke. But generally speaking, he'll go to blokes if he wants to feel more like a bloke. If he wants to feel more, emotive within himself, he needs a woman to bring that out in him. So he's always going to seek the feminine to do that. Now, soft is an important word because, again, we talked about it last time, but we talked about the biological differences between men and women. Like, generally speaking, the woman's body is a softer body. Why? Because it needs more body fat to protect the organs because you, biologically, will carry young. I do not.
Yeah.
Right? So inherently, my body is going to be harder. It's built to work. It's not built to birth young. It's built to work. It's built to lift. It's built to provide and protect. Now, it's so interesting when you think about it like this, because God has written it in our biology, like the way in which I guess we inherently lean and the way in which we are created. I know for myself when I'm feeling, use that word, hard, when I'm feeling strong, like strong is a very masculine quality, I feel great about myself. And like I notice with you when you're feeling soft and the feelings that you feel are soft, kind and loving towards yourself, this is like the best feminine vibe that you have. It's interesting before when we said the negative side of the feminine. If your feelings are really negative towards yourself, they're not, I wouldn't call them soft feelings. I would call them hard feelings. And like if you use that analogy, like the soft part of the feminine, beautiful. The hard part of the feminine can be really bad for both men and women, and likewise for men. Like this goes both ways. This doesn't just go one way. Like the hard part of masculinity, if he's out there being strong, like I don't know how many women would say, oh, I don't like a strong guy. It's like this is written in the way that we are. Like,
and it's so funny you say that, because I feel like there are some men in relationships that are more feminine, but then I look at their partners and the women are more masculine, because opposites do attract. Now, whatever which way that is,
it's so
begs the question. But
even in non-heterosexual relationships, there is even a more masculine and a more feminine. Like with partners that are in the same sex relationships, like generally one leans one way and the other leans that way. Like even though there might be a biological difference, like their energy will generally tilt one way and how they best feel and carry themselves.
Yeah.
And when you both start trying to lean one way, then you butt heads like we always do.
there's an equal opposite to everything,
Of course.
you know,
And opposites attract.
cold, hot.
Yep. Cold,
What
hot.
else?
Up, down, left,
Up,
right.
down, left, right. I had to think for a second.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a magnet and like the opposite end of the magnet.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny. Here's some science for you, because I love that. If you try and put the same magnet charge,
Yep. They repel.
they push each other that way. I've tried it. I've like worked really hard to try and get it to touch just for fun. You can't. It goes the other way.
And that is the perfect analogy, because again, this is a universal law, and we are describing these qualities as energies, no different than a battery.
Yeah.
Like these are energies. And when you have a battery and you put the positive side to the negative side, they click.
Yeah.
They mesh.
Yeah.
Whereas you mix same,
Not good.
you end
and
in
you can try
trouble.
and push it.
You can. Won't work very well, but you can.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's it blows my mind.
Powerful, huh?
Yeah.
One last point to finish this off, because I don't know how long we've been going, but I know we've been going a while. You said something good before. You said the inner work. Like, again, if I bring this back to biology, like the body of the woman
is moist. I knew we would use these words somewhere. Moist, moist, moist.
let's say the body of the man. The man and his manhood are outward.
Yes.
The woman and her womanhood are
inwards.
inward.
Yes.
Now, again, written in biology, like the men inherently are projecting forward. They are directional.
Yes.
In their being, in who they are, and in their manhood. Like, this is written. Like, the woman is inward, where it's kind of chaotic. Like,
There's lots going on up there.
Lots going on. And, like, to go inward for the women out there, and to
By the
get
way, just
more
to
in
stop.
touch with their feminine side.
I have to stop because I'll forget it.
Okay,
and I
go.
don't mean to be rude, but you can actually touch on that. You mentioned the words chaotic. That brings me back to our cycle, the women's cycle.
We could
in
do a whole
month.
episode on that.
No, but that's
yeah,
what I'm
go on.
saying. Like each different week is a different part of like a cycle,
And do you know
which
what-
is chaotic.
And do you know what's funny?
What?
A guy's cycle runs
Is-
on a 24-hour clock.
Exactly.
Simple.
Yes.
Men, directional,
Directional.
simple, 24-hour cycle, repeat.
Yeah.
Women, monthly,
Yeah.
week like this, week like that in terms of emotions. What's happening? Ovulation, period.
Do you know what's funny? I'll just tell them.
Yeah, go on.
When we first got together, one day I saw you on your phone and I think I was next to you, but in the background you can put like, so you got your apps, but in the background you can make your own little thing that you can see.
Yeah.
and you had When Bae Bleeds, me. Because back then I must have been a little bit erratic and you were like preparing yourself. So you figured out what my cycle was so that you could prepare for me. And in relationships, you can actually do that as well, where you can figure out your woman's cycle, know what phase she's in and how you can work around that. Because there are phases where she'll want you to be like sweet to her, buy her chocolates, like get her a heat sack, whatever. Then other ones she'll want you to be like masculine and take charge. So it's always changing.
I think you just found our topic for episode number 4.
Let's talk about cycles.
Well, cycles, but then also how the man can better understand that. And then I think we can also elaborate more in the masculine and helping women better understand men, because we've done a bit, and hopefully today for men listening, they've had a bit of insight around the feminine and the female mind and how that might relate to them. And hopefully for women, again, to finish that point I was saying before, like you know better than anyone how difficult it is in today's day and age and how it's almost frowned upon to sit and to feel and to go slow. Like we live in a very much a culture of like, you know, get money, get power, be successful, get followers, like all of these things. Like I hope for any women out there listening, like take a moment to do some inner work, whatever that means for you. Like just sit, have a cup of tea, get a heat sack, like write in a journal, like do something kind, be kind to yourself. You're worth being kind to. And chances are, I think you'll feel a little bit better about yourself when you're kind to yourself. Like you don't have to beat yourself up all of the time.
Yeah.
You know, it goes for both men and women once again, but it seems like there is seemingly like an agenda, not an agenda, but it's just weird culturally how it's almost frowned upon just to sit and to be free flowing. Like there's an expectation almost that you must go out and conquer.
You know, it's funny you say that.
Yeah.
I remember when I started the Instagram game, not started, but I was a couple of years in and I became a trainer on an app, and I had like the power building program, the body, like the heavy lifting program out of all the girls on this app. And my mentality back then was go hard or go home, because I felt like I had to be the hard trainer, like the military trainer. And you know, girls would be like, what if I'm on my period? What if this is happening and I'm stressed? I'm like, push through. And you know, it's funny. I lived that mantra and I ended up getting injuries, like really bad injuries that whole entire year. I like
Parasites.
gained a heap of weight because my body just went full inflammation mode. I got a parasite. I had gut dysbiosis. I had candida, just bacteria overgrowth. Like I was in a...
All sorts of things were going wrong.
My body shut down. That was like... I wonder what year that was. Maybe 2018 maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I even know. Maybe 2020 actually. It was around the... I don't want to say the C word. COVID. Because that's just crazy. Everyone's crazy about that. But it was, around that time, and I had to take a huge step back. And I went and sourced a naturopath. I went and, reduced my training load, completely took step backs to take better care of myself within. And I ended up killing the parasite, balanced my bacteria. I lost the weight. I felt so much better. I could sleep. I was getting hives, my skin was breaking out, my body was speaking to me. It was shouting out, actually. It wasn't speaking. It was going, girl, what are you doing? You're unwell. And I was just ignoring everything because I was like, go hard or go home. So masculine.
You've lived it.
And then I was like, this is not working for me. I can't live like this. I'm not sleeping. I'm itchy. It was really awful. And then I couldn't even do my job, which was training. Couldn't even do that because I was injured. So I know now.
You've lived it.
Even when I start to push too hard, now I listen to myself. But I had to go through that to realize that and really actually appreciate what you're saying of be kind to yourself. When people used to say that to me, I was like, kind to myself. What is that even? Please, this isn't play school. Be kind to myself. But I really now see how important that was, because if you don't, your body will find ways to tell you to.
Things go wrong.
Things will go wrong. Either your relationships will go wrong, your body will shut down.
Do you know what's so funny about you going back to training, to touch on that? You find that when you are kinder to yourself and you prioritize your recovery more, even your body starts looking better.
I know right now I'm a bit inflamed. I don't know if you guys can tell. Look at that. I gain muscle really easy. So if I don't, like, this is true. If I train too hard, I get big really quickly. And I've had my years of being big and I had a lot of fun, but it's not how I want to look. And please don't take this the wrong way with any girls that are lifting heavy and are jacked. Like, they're super committed. Respect. And I think they look great. But for me and how I feel about myself at this end, when I say at this end of my life, at the tender age of 37, getting older now, my priorities for myself is making sure that I'm not injured all the time, that I feel good in clothing, that I'm not inflamed, I'm not in pain all the time. And so even now I've got a shoulder injury because I've been hitting the upper body too hard and it's wear and tear. And also sometimes I might not see my chiros or physios. And also maybe, you know.
When you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah, when I don't take care of myself.
When you're not kind to yourself, yes.
Or even just like, just overuse of certain movements. I have to take a step back and I get injured and I don't like it. So my goals right now for myself, not like you asked my gym goals, but I'll tell you, is to just.
Here we go.
My gym goals are.
Free flowing.
This is what I do, like, honestly.
Hit us, Stephanie. Tell us.
It's the caffeine. It does something to me. It makes me stutter. And
it's the feminine.
So for myself, my goals, I'll just repeat it again because I think I just said it before, is to reduce my inflammation, feel good within myself, still be strong but not injure myself, enjoy the gym and not feel trapped by it.
Can I interject?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm at the end of this podcast and it's all like the excitement's happening now, post at the end.
Just because the coffee's kicking in, you've had more.
We shouldn't drink coffee during these.
Whatever.
It makes me anxious.
No, you've started flowing now. You're good. What I was going to say about your training, to interject, is that people often comment, mostly it's men, will comment on your posts and say, you've looked the same for many years. You lift the same weights, and they can't fathom what you're talking about.
Progressed? Yeah.
The masculine can't fathom, why isn't this moving forward? Why aren't we progressing? Why aren't we conquering?
Yeah.
When you're just trying to feel good right now about yourself.
And maintain.
And you maintain. You enjoy lifting and you enjoy the challenge of that. And you enjoy feeling like a conqueror in the gym, but you're not there to conquer the world and your body. You're here to look and feel how you want to look and feel.
I have to stop myself from training too hard.
Yes.
That's the problem. It's the opposite. I can definitely train hard and I can definitely gain size very quickly and very easily. But does that look for me personally make me feel better? No. Sometimes when I'm in the gym, definitely. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm like jacked. When I'm out in the street, I'm like, I don't know if I feel good right now, you know? So each to their own. And like I said.
Depends on your goals. Like when you were lifting competitively.
Yeah.
That was necessary, and you loved that, and there was nothing wrong with that.
I had my phase of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I might say this right now with how I feel, because I'm saying how I feel right now, not life direction. I could change in a year from now and say I want to get jacked again. Do you know what I mean? Like it's always forever changing, but right now I just want to take care of my health.
But it is so funny what you said when you tried that and your body rejected that notion of like. Go hard, go conquer. Because like I know for myself as a guy, like when I'm out conquering, lifting heavy, pushing myself, like making myself hurt, like being hard on myself, not soft. Yeah. Like I feel better.
Yeah.
To summarize, we talked a lot about the nature of the feminine and hopefully for the women listening, that might be a little bit of insight into that aspect of yourself. And like we said before, from our experience, like, the kinder that you've been to yourself, the more you've lent into the softness of yourself, typically the better you feel.
And you know what? Some women might reject this. I know my sister does when I talk to her about it. She's a single mum of 4 and she just can't grasp the concept of what I'm saying.
That situation is so difficult because you're forced to be, the leader, the protector and the provider. You're forced to play both mum and dad in a single mother situation. So single mothers are saying, please, like, by no means should you not take that on, and like literally hats off to you. Like there is no harder job and no harder situation to be in as a single mother, to try and do it all. But if you are in that situation and you're listening to this, feeling like maybe you're a bit off balance, like maybe there's just going to be a period of time where there's nothing you can do about that, and that's a season in your life that you will go through and it will come to an end. But you will get to a point also where you'll probably think to yourself, well, who am I and how do I feel good? And from our experience, like you've been in that scenario as a single mum, the more that you've been able to lean back into the soft-natured feminine in you, the better that you seem to have felt. And I know the same is true for me as a guy, leaning in towards the masculine, but we can talk about that maybe on the next episode.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Was there any final tips that you wanted to say or to share?
No final tips. I don't want to confuse anybody. I guess my advice would be listen as a woman, listen to your body, listen to yourself, listen to your intuition and your discernment and your heart, because it speaks to you. And that's a gift that we actually have that men do not. And they do, but they do not have it to the extent that we do. That's not something that we are gifted with, to feel those inner thoughts and feel that
not anywhere
inner
near
gut.
to the same degree. Like I might have intuition, but you are like next level in the way that you pick things up, and you have helped me so much as your partner to help guide me and better understand situations and see things that I would never have seen otherwise because of that gift.
So trust yourself
and
when you feel,
and appreciate the feminine aspect of yourself. Like, don't shut it down. Like I have nothing but good things to say about that quality in women. Like I think it's beautiful and what draws us men to women.
Yeah.
So
anything you would like to say before?
Well, I think that's probably all. Hopefully we haven't offended too many people, because I know this is a touchy subject, but if you got something out of it, and I hope you did, whether you are a man or a woman listening, and hopefully men, that helps you better understand. I know it's a very complex thing, and maybe next time we can touch on the cycle of a woman and how men can navigate through that, and how they can get a little bit more in touch with their masculine side. But that's something that we can explore in the next episode. So if you did enjoy this content, please let us know. Drop a comment. If you're on one of the podcast. Now we know we're really getting on podcast channels, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're listening to this, please follow the channel. And if you're on YouTube watching us right now, please subscribe. The more that we can grow this thing, the more content we will be able to produce. We're aiming for fortnightly releases at the moment, but there's no reason that couldn't necessarily increase if we start growing this thing. So
make sure you do watch YouTube if you are listening at a different place, because I was flexing on here and you missed out.
And you have many great hand gestures which are worth watching.
And I stick my tongue out a lot. I've noticed that about myself.
At least you don't lick your lips.
I didn't see you lick your lips this time.
I've gotten, for anyone that missed that, apparently I've been licking my lips.
And apparently I say,
Not
I
apparently,
refrained.
you did.
Yeah, well, I've refrained today. My stomach's speaking for me at the moment. It's going...
We're losing it,
Okay. Well, until next time, thank you for tuning into our podcast.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
We will see you in the next video.